Hello class, we're going to start working with functions hands-on. So under the course content, you will see these postings. I may add some in the future, so it could slightly change. You should actually start right here before you look at this source code. So let's go over here. And in here, we learn about functions. So in Python, there is a way to define a function. Remember, a function is a piece of code that you can reuse. You've been working with functions all along, and you may not even known it. Functions start with the def keyword. You give it a name, parens, and a colon. You must indent underneath the function to show what's part of the function. There are two types of functions in Python. One that returns nothing, and something in a function that returns a value. Here are some examples of functions, and you can also give them arguments. An argument is a value that is passed into a function. You can pass none, one, or more. There's a main function. The main function is where the code starts. If you do not have a main function, code starts from the top to the bottom, what we've been doing all along. But if there is a main function, you have to call it. So we're going to go take a look at one of the functions that I want you to pay attention to. So let's go. For some reason, Blackboard's not working the way I want to today. So we're going to go down here. Before you start looking at the samples, you should work on this PowerPoint presentation that helps you deal with functions. Like in the past, I pose a question, I ask you to code a function, and then call the function. I'm going to assume you've already done that before you watch this video. So this piece of code we're going to start looking at. And it's pretty simple. What I want to draw your attention to is our code in the past has always started at the top and drops down. You'll notice I have a def, which is a definition for a function. I have to have the def keyword. I have to name it. I have a left parenthesis and a right parenthesis. This is the first parameter that I'm going to receive in the function, and here's the second. Can you think of any functions we've been working with? Well, I'm happy to say you've been working with them. Input's a function. Notice we pass it a string, and out comes a string that the user typed in. Input, what is your last name? I type in a last name, and whatever I type in gets put to here. Can you think of another function we've been working with all along? If you said print, you're right. Notice functions that come built into Python have a purplish color to them. Functions that I create as a programmer get blue. So I have a definition called print name. This is called camel notation, where the first word is lowercase and the second word has a capitalization on the second letter. It looks like the humps on a camel. Right here, I take in one string and two strings. I need a colon, and then I print out to the screen, first name is S first, whatever I put into here, comma, last name, comma, last. So what happens is when the program starts running, it runs, it skips over that to here. I do an input, what is your first name? And the value goes in here. What is your last name goes in here. I'm passing the arguments by position. Print name is the code up here. It takes whatever we type in, such as Brian and Candido, and passes it the first name here and the second name here. This receives the first name and the last name. Notice I call it sname1 and sname2, but in the function I just have to give it a name that's unique. It shouldn't be the same name as this. It should be a different name. And then notice down here I pass by position incorrectly. I pass name2, and that's put into this variable, and then I pass in name1, that's put into this one. And actually, Python lets you do something pretty interesting. You can pass them in any order using the equal sign. So notice the name up here is S last, and in the print name, S first. So I can say S last up here gets assigned sname2, comma, S first, I put the value of sname1. So let's run this code. And you can notice, I hope, that this code here called print name 3 times, 1, 2, and 3. I pass in Brian and Candido. Brian gets put into this variable, Candido gets put into this variable and put out the screen. The second time I call, Candido gets passed and put into this variable. The first pass parameter gets put into here, and I put Brian, which put into here. And now I'm specifying by name. S last gets the value of S name 2. S first gets assigned the value of S name 1. And there you go.